What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gaming Without Parole. Sitting across from me this week and every week, the Antichrist himself, Desra.
That's more like it.
Yeah, you're a fan of that one.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Last-minute decision.
Yeah, me and religion got some issues. But, and sitting across from me, of course, is Brian Paul.
Just call me Jesus.
One of the first kitchens I worked in, I did some magic for the guys. And what's that?
Can we offensive to anybody?
What?
Our whole conversation up to this point.
Nah.
All right.
But the kitchen, I did a magic trick for the guys, and they called me Diablo. And that was my nickname at that restaurant.
Whew.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have a new nickname, or you're going to re-establish that nickname after the Spark Tournament's over.
Probably not.
Spark Tournament's probably about half over by the time this thing airs.
Yeah, and I've been like a week and a half out of practice before I started my first game. So.
I've probably been eliminated for a week and a half now.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. Des, every week on Gaming Without Parole, we take a PlayStation VR game from the archives, or from the recent memories, or from anywhere between now and October 16th of last year. And we grab that game, we play a little bit of it, and we decide whether this game is worth revisiting or not,
right?
Despite the fact that we're revisiting it anyway.
Well, I mean, we do the revisiting, so you don't have to.
I'm just saying words
there
here.
Yeah.
Yep, filling in the gaps between words with other words.
Yep.
Des, what game are we going to talk about this week?
So this is a not quite launch title. They were trying super hard to make it and missed it by like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So this is Weeping Doll by our new favorite developer, Oasis Games.
Yeah.
Or publisher, sorry.
And developed by Tianche Media.
Yep.
Do you know?
And that's a great week, everybody. Enjoy the show.
Do you know anything about Tianche Media? And I don't know how to speak the language, so I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sure.
I do not.
Okay.
No.
I went to their webpage, and thank you, Google Translate. It helped me figure out what the hell I was looking at.
Okay.
And it said, our team. And I'm assuming they're a complete team.
Yeah.
It's like 5 dudes. It's like,
oh, yeah.
Here we are. It's like their entire team, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe not the whole team, but I mean, they're the only ones they wanted to focus on.
Yeah, and that would certainly explain a lot that's going on with this game.
Well, so you mentioned that they just missed the launch window.
Yeah, I've got October 27th, 2016.
Yep.
So not quite early enough to be the launch title, but not quite on the nose to be a Halloween game.
The great thing about Weeping Doll is that I was just there on the. These are the dark days of PlayStation VR. Don't forget.
Yes.
All the launch games are out, and then there's nothing for months.
Yeah.
We trickle out a game here and there. So there was no fanfare leading up to this game. There was no. And next week our big game Weeping Doll's coming out on the store. No, it was just I crawled out of bed one day, turned on the PlayStation, and it was like. What
is that?
What the hell is Weeping Doll?
Yeah.
And there's no gameplay footage. There's no nothing. It's just Weeping Doll with a picture of a doll with its eyes gouged out, some Chinese letters, I think, and $9.99.
As if they were a little embarrassed to actually release it. I mean, we gotta put this out, right, guys? Well, I guess we worked on it.
So please tell me about your first moments with Weeping Doll.
So Weeping Doll is you start out as a maid, hooray. And here's one of the weird disconnect things, and I kind of understand why this happens, but I just wish people would work on harder to stop it from happening. You're in a traditional Japanese house. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got traditional Japanese names. Mm-hmm. It's not a super traditional Japanese house. Let me kind of backtrack that. Sort of a westernized Japanese house, but there are tatami mats on the floor. There's definitely Japanese decoration, but everyone has British accents.
And?
Yeah, so, there's that.
How do you know? How do you know? And I'm just playing devil's advocate. Your advocate, apparently. How do you know some British people didn't just move to, Japan?
Well, they all have Japanese names.
How do you know they weren't trying to, acclimate to their surroundings and make things easier for the local... you know what? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just one of those, okay, well, they have maids in Japan, but these people speak English, but Americans don't have maids, so we'll give them English accents. But we're not going to change anything else about the game.
It's a video game, kids.
Yeah. That's not even
kind of
a hang-up. That's just a very common thing that happens when you regionalize. They just kind of half-ass regionalize things.
Yeah, did you see Ghost in the Shell?
I was just going to say, see Ghost in the Shell for further examples.
Yeah.
I was like, make it in America or make it in Japan.
Also, Death Note, kids.
Death Note, right.
Netflix versions of Death Note, unnecessary.
Yeah. But here's what I'm going to say that I really liked about this. Last week we talked about Dying Reborn, and I talked about my whole theory about, okay, if you tell me this room is scary, then I'm not going to be scared.
Uh-huh.
This house starts out looking pretty nice at first and looking pretty normal. And then you get this really scary phone call. So, like, you've got the abnormal invading a normal, nice-looking space.
Mm-hmm.
The house is super well lit. Some reviewers like, oh, it's too bright. How is this going to send? I was like, no, that's what's awesome. Like, it's not scary. Well, I'm again, if you're being primed to be scary because the room is all dark and creepy, all right. But what's scary is like, no, you're in a bright, normal room. This is your everyday life, and now something bizarre is invading it. That's when things get interesting. So you kind of have that going on in this room, but then weird things start to happen, and then you start seeing clues of really bad things have happened.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it a plus for that. And here's the other. Starts out weird, but actually kind of grew on me. The movement scheme. So I don't know. I don't think anyone else has done quite this way.
It's a thing. I've seen it. I feel like I've seen it once before. I just can't remember who else did it, or maybe it was after this too. So what Des is referring to is the way you traverse this house.
Yeah,
it's basically teleportation, except instead of taking a move controller and pointing to a location, say I want to jump over there, you're using the analog stick to basically pull an apparition out of yourself. Place it wherever you'd like in the room. Face it whatever direction you want it to face, and then click a button.
Yep.
And then there you are, facing that way. And it's interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was a really novel way to tackle the issue, because you also don't have the issue you would have in, say, like Smashbox Arena, where you teleport and like, oh crap, I'm facing the wrong way.
Right.
You can actually really very accurately point exactly where you want to end up and where you're going to be facing, which I think is a nice touch. And I don't know if the ghostly image adds to the creepy vibe or not, but it's kind of cool.
So here's something that I just discovered today on accident, because I was checking out this game again to remind myself of, some of the more subtle details.
Yeah.
And I was playing it for a little while, and then I was like, oh, I got to go do something real quick. And so I put the headset down, and I came back, and I put the headset back on. And I was about, I want to say, 4 feet removed from my avatar.
Oh.
So the person I was playing as, like, my head should have been down here, but I was like kind of like an almost over-the-shoulder perspective.
Okay.
Right? And in your character, for some reason, is fully rendered.
Oh, yeah.
In the environment, which makes looking into mirrors that don't show you back is really strange.
Right.
It's like, if there's a character there to reflect, how come you can't reflect it?
Yeah.
But and before I reset the camera, I played like this for a little while. And it made more sense to play it from a third-person perspective than it did, because you were literally almost like moving it around like a chess piece.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, why wasn't this the game? Why am I not playing it this way? And I actually kind of enjoyed it more. It wasn't as immersive. Obviously, you're playing a first-person game that's supposed to be scary. It's a lot less likely you're going to be scared in VR in a third-person perspective.
Yeah.
I get it. But it was an interesting thing to see, especially since at no point in the game does the the way the game's intended to be played show you your character. So what's the point of having a fully rendered character?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's very weird. It's almost like they thought this game was going to be something different and then threw it into VR at the last minute.
I think there's a lot of that in this game. There's a lot of, like, that sounds like it might have been a compromise at one point. It's
maybe.
Like, I want a third person. No, I want a first person. Look, let's put in the code to make it first person, and then,
you say there's a lot of things like that in the game, but I'll tell you what there's not a lot of in this game.
Game?
It's at absolute best, right? It's about 45 minutes from start to finish, which means, by the way, this footage behind me, it's like the whole game.
Pretty much.
You're going to see almost the entire game.
So you're seeing spoilers here.
So it's all spoilers, FYI.
And not even that, the game itself, it's a very linear series of puzzles.
Yep.
It's just like, solve this puzzle now, solve this puzzle now, solve this puzzle now.
And the game doesn't present it like that, but there's just nowhere else to go or nothing else to do until you solve, like you said, in a linear progression.
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise, you're just kind of like walking around the house until you've trigger the next event.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, I don't want to be insulting anyone here, but none of these puzzles are particularly difficult.
Oh, no.
No.
That's why it's 45 minutes.
Yeah, and if you think like, geez, I can't figure it out, it's just because you haven't turned. I mean, the puzzles are sitting, and the answer is sitting there screaming like Neon Blaze, use this thing! And if you haven't figured it out, it's not because you're dumb, it's just because you haven't looked where it is.
Yeah, all the answers are always right in front of you.
Yeah. It's not one of those, again, with Dying Reborn, we'll give it this credit. Like, you've got to move from room to room, get something from here, remember that, move somewhere. You don't have to do that in this game, even though you have an inventory.
I wonder if Dying Reborn would have been better with this style of movement, because
maybe
one of the things I hated was, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in this puzzle, and then, like, you slowly traverse from one end of the room to the other.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I could just, like, kind of teleport around, like with this avatar system we got going on, I might actually prefer that.
Yeah.
So here's this. Let's tell a little story here, right?
Okay.
I've already mentioned that this is early days of VR.
Yeah.
No one's really totally sure. I mean, at least all of the gamers out there, none of us are totally sure what this thing's capable of. Right. Resident Evil 7 doesn't exist yet. Mm-hmm. We know it's coming, but it's months away, right? So I go into Weeping Doll. I see the screenshots, right?
Yeah.
There's no gameplay footage, but there's screenshots. And I go, this thing looks beautiful. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, this is like got to be a Myst style game where like you know, like original Myst.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where it's like you click from place to place to place, which technically you're doing, but it is a fully 3D rendered environment.
Right.
So so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh whoa. As soon as I start the game up, I'm like, nope, this is real. This is legit.
Yeah.
But the other thing I noticed is that it's blurry as hell.
I feel I honestly had to check to see if like I was wearing my glasses or if my glasses were dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very strange, and because the house itself, in my humble opinion, I know there's very different opinions out there. I think this house is beautifully rendered.
I think it looks great.
It looks lived in. It looks like something was just happening, maybe moments before or days before you entered this house. Like, it looks lived in. There's a family that inhabits this space.
Yeah.
You know, you go into a room and there was like a birthday party happening.
Yeah, and I'll say like there was solidity to the space that, say, bringing that up again, Dying Reborn didn't have.
Right, you go from one door to another and you're like, are these rooms actually connected?
Yeah, everything looks like someone just went, like a prop master just went through and said, oh, we got to hang up this picture here and this. It doesn't feel like a real space. This feels like a real space.
Yeah.
I would definitely give the art design super props.
But it's just real weird how blurry it is. And it's not like you think it would be like a technical limitation, like, well, the PlayStation VR only displays in low resolution and whatever, this and that. But then you like say there's a plant in the corner of the room, and as you get closer to the plant, as you lean in, and the thing's pretty like there's detail there.
Yeah,
that texture work is there. But for some reason, when you step back, it's just all like somebody smeared Vaseline all over your eyes.
It really is. Like, if you don't know what it's like to, it's like if you have perfect vision, you're always wondering, like, what is it like for someone with glasses? What does the world look like? Just play this game. You'll have a pretty good idea what that looks like to need a mild prescription.
And have an inability to walk one step at a time.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Very strange. Strangely, I enjoyed the control scheme after I figured it out.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those, don't let that be the thing that drives you away from this game.
Let everything else be the thing that drives you away from this game.
It's real weird at first, and I was even like, oh, this is awful. But then after a little bit of using it, it's like, oh, this is actually a pretty creative way to solve this problem.
And remember, you were talking about the satisfying sound in Spark, like when you a ball. There's a weirdly satisfying thunk every time you do stuff in this game. It's like you're like, oh, I'm clunking over here, and I'm gonna clunk over here, and clunk, 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 and it's like this weird sound that just accompanies your movement, and for some reason I really appreciate it. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that sound I'll give thumbs up to. Voice acting.
Oh God, it's another bad one.
It's not as bad as some titles we talked about, but it's pretty bad. Especially there's what must be an easily woman in her late 40s doing the voice of what's supposed to be a child. And it's not great.
Yeah.
And the also thing is, like, there's a story, and the best of these kind of games put you in a place where you're trying to piece together the puzzle through little clues here and there.
Yeah.
This tells you the story, And then it tells you the story again. And then it tells you the story again.
It's like 3 times for
it's
sure.
like, you're pretty stupid, so we're going to tell you the story again. And then we're going to have you sit down in front of a doll that's going to tell you the story again.
Yeah, it would have been a 15-minute game if you only heard the story once.
Oh my God. I don't know why. Like,
it's very strange.
Yeah, it's real bizarre. And then on top of all that, I guess if we're talking about the plot, it's so badly put together, and the puzzles are so badly timed that if you're not sure if you've finished this game, like you've solved all the puzzles you think you have, something happens, and then you're like, moving around, like looking for the next puzzle to solve, and you can't find it, you beat the game.
So it does. It brings you back to the main hall, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And there's like something new. It's like a whiteboard or something. Isn't
Yeah,
there?
well, there's basically, we referred to it earlier, but there's a picture of like the dev team,
right?
And there's the credits.
Yeah, but not credits. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't notice this.
No, because we have the blurriness. You actually have to walk up to it and see. Yeah,
like, these pictures weren't here before, and then you walk up and you're like, oh, these are the credits.
Yeah. I literally had that experience, like, because what I did was, well, I guess not spoiling, like, you see the character, the girl or whatever, that's supposed to be doing all this stuff, and she kind of like, and she's done this before, and you're chasing her through the halls, and then you get downstairs, and you don't see her anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you decide to go back to that front hallway, you might notice that and figure it out.
Right.
If you, like I did, say, oh, wait.
Where did she go?
Yeah. Let me reload the game because I think I missed it. Oh, I missed her again. Let me reload that level because I think I missed it.
I think most people had the same experience, because I definitely did. So in speaking of the little girl and the general atmosphere of this game, it's, like you said, it's a well-lit house, but it's also very creepy. There are dolls strewn about with their eyes gouged out of their head. Yeah. In my book, that's scary. Yeah, the environment in this, it's your Japanese horror, it's Grudge, it's The Ring, it's that, and it's great. The environment is well done, but it's everything else.
Yeah.
If there was, like, I think I actually maybe sort of halfway partially jumped a little bit during one little scene where I was like, oh, is this where it's going to get scary?
Yeah.
And then it kind of didn't. It certainly it has a weird ability to, like, it builds suspense, but I think a lot, like with Dying Reborn and Weeping Doll, and I know a lot of people when VR first came out, or PSVR first came out, I know Jim Sterling specifically talked about Here They Lie and said if it wasn't in VR, it wouldn't be scary. Yeah. And I was a big proponent at the time saying, but it is in VR. It is in VR, so it is scary. Right. So you can't take that away from it. But it's not really scary. No. Like, it wouldn't be scary at all if it wasn't in VR. And so I think as we grow with this platform, I think Jim Sterling's comment pertains more by the day. Yeah. Yeah. I will say too, there's one thing they just bump against a little bit, and it didn't occur to me till actually my second time, because I told you I reloaded that last level till my second time through. There's something we absolutely loved about the Batman experience, and we had a lot of discussion about whether or not we wanted to spoil it, and it's the thing that happens in the last chapter. Yeah. This game just touches on that, because in the last room you're in, like, you look and turn back and stuff has changed. Some of the dolls have moved. They were so close, like, dolls are the thematic thing. If you were in this place where there's this creepy doll there, you look and look back and it has moved significantly, or maybe even better, not significantly, just enough to... Wait, did that... Okay. Oh, crap. Just that one little touch there would have made this game so much better and creepier. And they were there. They were just... But they... very frustrating. And I think that's the thing. This whole game feels like... I think this game was very thoughtful in terms of they found an excellent way to navigate the house. Yeah. And this is coming from a guy who hates teleportation, hates click turning, and this is both of those things. Yeah. But if I'm gonna have them, I'm like, this isn't actually a bad solution. Right. So So I think it was thoughtful in that sense. It was thoughtful in the way that the house was laid out, the rendering of the house. Everything looks pretty nice, although blurry. And then the pieces just sort of don't ever come together.
Yeah.
I feel like this game. I wish it was a game. I wish they had taken the time or had the money to take the time to really flesh this thing out. Because I feel like they were on track. This is like a tech demo that just never got off the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is, somewhere between, like we talked about, a lot of these early games are really experiences. Yep. This is a puzzle experience, I guess is the better way to put it. But yeah, it's a tech demo. It's a really nice tech demo. I would love to see the game that this was advertising. So I feel a little, I don't know, I'm feeling a little kinder to this more than, say, its sister game Dying Reborn, because I think there were some interesting ideas they were just starting to kind of touch at, where I don't think there was anything really original about Dying Reborn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in closing,
I'm going to give this, it's weird. This is like, I think the conventional wisdom is this is the most hated out of the two.
Yeah.
But I think for what they were trying to do and for, the environment they did build, if we're going to our old scale, I'm going to say, wait till it's on sale. Pick it up. It's worth it.
Yeah, again, when you pick this up with Dying Reborn in the Oasis Horror Bundle, I think it's like $4.99 for this and Dying Reborn.
Yeah.
For $2.50, again, the price of a cup of coffee. I found it interesting and at least worth a look if you're like me, who can't get enough VR, who has to really feel like the experience is everything. I don't even mind. It was only 45 minutes long. It's for $2.50. It's a definite should we on our old scale. I'll say if you can find it for that cheap, then by all means give it a shot. I think you'll see what we're talking about. It's not going to blow you away, but there's certainly some interesting ideas here.
Yeah, I think it came real close. I think the people, the team that made Dying Reborn, they never would have figured it out. I think the people who made this, they were just on the cusp. That's what's frustrating about it. It's like, you know what? If you just push yourself a little bit further, you were there. Yeah. Just almost. So I'm looking forward to the sequel.
Weeping Dolls?
Weeping Dolls, plural.
Dresden Dolls.
Dresden Dolls. I am absolutely convinced. Actually, they're touring again.
Oh.
Yeah, they've got some dates. It's very cool.
Nice.
Yay. Hi, Amanda. Right. You're never going to watch this, but...
Never going to watch this. I'll tag the Dresden Dolls in the description.
That'd be awesome.
All right, so, as always, we're I don't want to call it scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but we certainly found these games on sale. I picked them up originally, but then we found them on sale and we said, hey, these are worth another look, because if these are things that are going to go on sale on a regular basis, then I'm sure there are people out there who are interested in hearing a little bit more about our experience with them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they show up on sales all the time, so it's like even before we were going to do this game, I'd always see the fish head, like every time I loaded this PlayStation Store. So, yeah.
So let us know what games you want us to take another look at. I know there's a big majority out there that's like, hey, talk about rigs. Hey, talk about Battlezone. I think Des is a little ways off from that. But there are plenty of games that I have total faith that we can talk about. And I'm not even going to say them right now because I'm too excited and I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah. All right, that concludes another week of Gaming Without Parole. Woo-hoo. And Gaming Without Parole and Gaming Without Parole. For Gaming Without Parole, I'm Brian Paul.
Was that 4?
Roughly.
Okay. I'm Desra.
And we'll see you next week.